how significant is Egypt's strong condemnation of Israel's strikes on Qatar, and what message does it send about Cairo's role as a regional grantor of stability?
Of course, this movement conducted by Israel is uncalculated, and it was hastily done by Netanyahu's cabinet, and it undermines the rates of promoting peace in the region, and also it undermines the efforts of the nations. Israel threatened a nation that has no enmity with Israel and the United States. This nation, Qatar, was working with the United States and other intermediaries in order to reach a solution in Gaza. Netanyahu doesn't want peace. He doesn't want to stop spilling blood. He wants to pull all the parties to chaos. And this cabinet of Netanyahu's, they are used to violate the international laws, and they are used to accountability being out of the question. And they often violated the charters of the UN. Israel is not held accountable for the crimes it committed, and they want to push the whole region into chaos with an uncalculated step that is hastily and unresponsible. It is based on a sort of madness that we are used to seeing from Netanyahu and his fellow right-wing fanatics.
So, sir, to what extent does this attack constitute a violation of international law and the UN Charter, as Egypt has stressed? What legal or diplomatic mechanisms are available to address it?
Of course, this attack is an outright violation of the international laws and regulations. Qatar has the right to protect its airspace and those who reside in its territories, or those who are guests. Israel violated the Qatari sovereignty and assassinated people who reside within the premises of the Qatari territory. These people who were targeted are not military people, even if they were aligned or affiliated with Hamas. They are not military personnel. They are political people, and they were going to a meeting to further negotiate on de-escalating the situation. So Israel violated the sovereignty of Qatar and showed enmity and war declaration. So there are no legal or those pertaining to international relations that evidences that can push Israel to commit what it did. This was green lighted by the United States, as reports pointed. This is also a violation of Qatar's sovereignty and a violation also to international laws. Qatar has to file a claim against Israel in the international organizations because its territories and airspace were violated, and the responses here vary from diplomatic, political escalation and diplomatic escalation, and moving within the diplomatic political routes, uh, whether be it the ICJ or the UN Security Council, in order to condemn what happened and show a viable response so that the state attacked by the aggressor can secure its territories and airspace and its citizens.
So, given that the strike targeted a meeting of Palestinian leaders in Doha aimed at reaching a ceasefire, how might this incident undermine the ongoing Egyptian and Qatari mediation efforts?
Of course, this aggression on Qatar and on its territory is an unprecedented threat and a great undermining to the intermediation efforts done by Qatar and Egypt, and that is what Netanyahu is keen to do. He doesn't want the negotiations to proceed further. He didn't provide any intent or any will to go for a ceasefire to be imposed. He doesn't want a deal to be reached to finalize and conclude this war. He always tramples or tries to halt the efforts trying to put an end to the war. And he tries to assassinate those who negotiate. Netanyahu wants to give a message to all, and that he's burning all bridges that might lead to ceasefire and de-escalation.
Mm-hmm.
He will not stop or back down, even he will commit foolishness and attack an intermediary and a mediator. The Qatari response, I think, will be that they will freeze their role as an intermediary, and further steps will be taken by the Gulf states and the Arab states as well to put an end to this chaotic, because Netanyahu is willing to continue with this war and aggression. Qatar didn't have an enmity or anything to do with Israel. It is just an intermediary.
Egypt described Qatar's security and stability as a cornerstone of Arab national security. Sir, how might this framing strengthen bilateral relations between Cairo and Doha further moving forward?
Of course, the Egyptian stance is what we are used to see from Egypt, who looks to the security of neighboring Arab states as a part of its security, and the security of the Gulf area especially represents a great deal of importance to Egypt, because Egypt proudly boasts of great ties with other Arab states, and we have a long history and roles that show that we protected the Arab security system, and these bilateral relations have great roots, and there is also a great deal of agreement between the leaders of the two countries. We want the region to be stable. There is also a great deal of coordination between the two countries, especially after the relations were up again. So that's why the security of Qatar is a pivotal part and a cornerstone in the security of the Arab region as a whole, and the de-escalation in the region as well. So Egypt's condemnation of this blatant aggression committed by Israel is not only due to bilateral relations, but also that is because Egypt knows that the Israeli aggression is posing a threat to the national security matrix of the Arab region as a whole, and a threat also to regional benefits and international benefits as well. Also, it puts the Egyptian security and the Arab region security in danger.
What are the broader implications of such an attack for regional security, in your own opinion, particularly for Egypt, which is directly invested in preventing further escalation in Gaza and the wider Middle East?
This attack will have great impacts. It will pose it will put a stop to the normalization deals and the diplomatic ties between Arab states and Israel. You know, in the Abraham deal, the Emirates, for example, was starting to build normal relations with Israel, and the other Gulf states will stop doing that because of this unprecedented aggression against a Gulf state, and it will lead to a freeze between the ties between Israel and the Gulf states, and will further delay the normalization between other Gulf states and Israel. It will also damage the relations between the Gulf states and the United States in the future, because several reports point that the United States gave a green light to Netanyahu to commit the aggression he committed on the regional. I presume it embodies a very negative message. It means that Israel is now a rabid state that does not give any weight to international relations, and that is now targeting states that do not possess any enmity towards Israel, and that Israel are bearers of calamity and chaos in the region. Not only the states who say that we have, like the case in Lebanon, Israel is now, unlike the case in Lebanon, Israel is targeting other states who do not have, who Israel doesn't have any alibi for attacking, because Qatar doesn't own a militia who is threatening Israel, for example. So Israel's current actions, are a great threat to the nation, to the region as a whole.
Mm-hmm.